Thanks for joining us for City Council Comments. I'm Steve Erickson along with Councilmember Bill Kicker. Today we're talking about both the Wednesday, August 8th and the Tuesday, August 21st City Council meetings. Thanks for being here today.
Well, thanks for having me.
We actually had one of our meetings one day late.
Yep.
And that was because of Night to Unite, which I know you took part in.
I did. I got to ride along out of Station 2. I've done that the last 2 years now, and it's just really a great experience. It's so much fun to, for one, to be with the fire department because everybody, the kids just love it. The firemen get a major kick out of it as well. They like to blow the horns and the sirens, see the kids running when they pull up. But Chief Wise, Brad Wise of the police department mentioned how it arguably is the most crime preventive measure or activity that we can do in the city, and I couldn't agree more. It's just so good for people to get out and get to know their neighbors, spend time with them, and it's a great opportunity. We had 128 registered parties, which I believe was a record this year. And that was great. I think the police sent out 19 officers, and the fire department had at least 10 vehicles out, trying to get to as many of the parties as we could. We had 13 on our list, 13 different parties on our list, and I know we hit at least 12 of them, if not all 13. So kudos to our police and fire for their willingness to get out there and visit with the residents, because I know the residents love it. But I'd also like to say, that thanks to all of those people that hosted those parties. I mean, that was the first thing I would do was, I went and seeked out who the host was and introduced myself and thanked them for, their willingness to put a party together. It's not, it's not easy. It's not difficult, of course, but you still have to plan it. You still have to get the food together, and and there were some really great parties. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, like you said, wouldn't happen without folks in the neighborhood stepping up. And
absolutely.
As we saw this year, record turnout.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure they're hoping to even beat that next year. So never too early to start thinking about next year and planning those parties.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. In fact, my neighborhood ought to do that. My immediate neighborhood.
All right.
That would be good.
That's a challenge is on.
That's a challenge.
All right. We'll see. All right. Well, we'll jump right in now to talk about our Tuesday, August 21st City Council meeting here. One of the first items there was a oath to one of our new firefighters.
Right. So Chief John Piper was the one that did the introductions, and much like the way Chief Wise does the police introductions, he did, Chief Piper did a great job of introducing this new officer, or this new firefighter, Corey Beck. Corey Beck had his father, Kirby Beck, who was a 26-year veteran of the Coon Rapids Police Force, actually pin on his permanent badge, so that was kind of a neat thing. But Chief Piper did a really nice job, of introducing the new firefighter, kind of giving you a little background about this individual, which is nice. It really is a nice introduction. The other thing is that both police and fire, when they do hire somebody on permanently, they're selecting from individuals that have been with each force, for some time. Yeah. They don't just. Generally, they're not bringing people from outside the, the department completely, where they haven't had a chance to work with them. So it's really a good opportunity for them to get to know these people. So they're bringing in individuals that they know are prepared and ready to take on this new position.
All right. Well, it's great to see, especially like we say those where it's like staying in the family, someone, the father's in policing, or the mother and their son or daughter is becoming a police officer or a firefighter.
Exactly.
So
and you could just see the pride. It was really neat.
Yeah, and for the same city that they worked in.
Absolutely.
So cool to see.
Yeah.
All right. We had another presentation. This one was on Change to Chill Week. I think something after hearing it last night that we all can learn from, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So Change to Chill is something that's been a program that's developed by Allina Health, and it's basically a youth online mental well-being program that they have, but they're bringing it to schools and different organizations. And Coon Rapids High School applied for a partnership with Alina with this program, and they received the approval of that. So they're going to partner with Alina, the Coon Rapids High School is, to put this program together. And that's along with the week of September 10th through the 14th, which is the Change to Chill week. So there's different events that they'll have each day. I can't remember what each one of them was, but there was, I know one was mindfulness and different things that they have each day at the school.
I think one was No Tech Tuesday.
No Tech Tuesday.
I'm like, that's actually a great idea, and we're going to go out and do a story, and like, everybody put your phones down and be mindful. And, the things we take for granted when we live in the society we do today, which is very connected. Kids are used to being connected, and
absolutely,
that can come as a detriment too, to like we talk about mental health.
Yep, I agree.
So it'll be fun to see what they do at school that week. Again, that is September 10th through the 14th.
Right.
All right. Council approved a temporary on-sale strong beer and wine liquor license. This is for the North Star Lions Club. This is for a military softball tournament that is coming up again, and I believe this is the second year.
Yes, it's the second year. I helped out a little bit last year, and I helped out with the Coon Rapids North Star Lions, and they do such a great job for our community with these events, and that's how they generate the funds, because they're running the beer tents and concessions there at Sand Creek, and it's a great event. And from last year, it being the first year there, the people that put on the military softball tournament were like, we're coming back next year. Yeah. They really loved the facility and really liked what the Lions, the Coon Rapids North Star Lions, did for the event as well. So that's on September 7th through the 9th.
Yeah, and they were one of the first users of that remodeled park.
Yeah.
As one of the first big tournaments out there. And they have a great opening ceremony on the Friday night, which will be September 7th, it sounds like.
Yep.
And then they play games all weekend long. So
absolutely.
If you can get out there, check it out.
Yep. Yeah, I'm hoping to do that myself.
All right. We have another, while we're on the topic of temporary on-sale liquor license, we have another one for the VFW. This is for the Law Enforcement Appreciation Event.
Right, and the reason I wanted to mention this is just because of the Law Enforcement Appreciation Event, which is on September 15th. I don't have any details on it, but I just wanted to make sure people are aware of it. It's the law enforcement, our local law enforcement they do such a good job, and it's good to give them the support that they deserve. So I just wanted to make sure that got mentioned.
Yeah, and they have done this for a number of years now. They were doing it at the Legion. It's been at the VFW now for at least the last year or two. I can't remember exactly when it moved there, but they bring in what's really cool. They have the vendors, and the last year they had food trucks and stuff, but they bring in these big memorial trucks. They had one for the police the one year, and they brought in a fire one last year with the names of all the fallen officers. And it's quite a sight to see when they parade those down the street into the event.
Right.
So if you can get out there this year, if you haven't made it to one, check it out. All right, Council received the mid-year gambling expenditure report.
Yeah, and I thought this was significant to talk a little bit about, just because there are 7 different organizations within Coon Rapids that have various sites in different bars and restaurants within Coon Rapids. And through the first half of the year, they generated $601,000 in net profit through their charitable gambling. And of that, 95% or $574,000 of those dollars were spent on different things within the city of Coon Rapids. So just wanted to make sure people are aware of that. That's a great thing that this money is being generated, and it's being put right back into the community. So,
all right, and Council gets those periodically.
Yep.
Throughout the year.
Yep, exactly.
All right. We had 2 actions involving the Coon Rapids Ice Center. One was a resolution establishing Ice Center rental rates for 2018-2019 and approving a fee structure, as well as approving some user contracts.
Right. So that just the Ice Center, they do a survey where they go out and do research. They had probably 7 different facilities that they looked at: Fogarty, Schwann's, Champlin, Anoka, different ones to just kind of research what the hourly rates are for the different times that they have, and based on that they kind of assess things, and it looks like they basically raised rates about $5 per different category, whether it's prime time hours or off peak hours, but they generally race at about $5. And the contracts then themselves were signed with the Coon Rapids Youth Hockey Association, as well as the Coon Rapids High School Hockey. My understanding is that they should be coming to us in September with a contract for the Blue Ox as well, which is our junior A hockey team that we have.
Yeah, they did pretty well the last season.
Yes,
I know,
they did.
So.
Yep, they did really well. So it was a lot of fun to see them. It seemed like they got a lot of support from the community. So that's great.
And lots of stuff going on at the Ice Center. We were just out there this week for a story on this new hockey camp they're doing with the Wild. It's in conjunction, I believe, with that. And the Wild and the players, and Coach Boudreau is out there.
Coach Boudreau, yep. I heard a little bit about that. I think Matt Stemwittle's son is participating in that camp. And it sounds like he's having a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we'll actually have a story this week on CTN update on the actual camp. But lots of stuff going on at that Ice Center.
Yep,
so,
yep.
Good to see. All right, Council considered a Golf Tech Bunker Hills lease renewal. Speaking of good things, we also have the golf course in town.
Absolutely. And so Tim Anderson was there to present, talk a little bit about the relationship that they've had with Golf Tech. And so they've had a relationship with them for 5 years. They've been at the course for 5 years, and this contract would be renewed for another 5 years. And obviously we approved it. Tim does such a nice job over there at Bunker, and he was genuinely excited about this, and what the Golf Tech training brings to the golf course itself. So just all around a good thing for the golf course.
Just can't believe that it's already been 5 years that Golf Tech has been out there.
Yeah, right.
With those improvements, and I know they helped given some free instruction, I believe, for the 50th anniversary celebration in one of the events out there. And of course, Golf Tech has benefited, they're saying here, for additional driving range and instructional revenues at the golf course.
Yep,
so
yep. Yeah,
it's kind of a win-win partnership.
Absolutely, yeah, because they're leasing the building, and then they sell golf clubs. So there's some kind of a lease or a payment that they pay to the golf course for the ability to sell their clubs. And you're right, with all the training that they do, they're bringing golfers in as well.
And I believe it's a year-round thing too. Like in the winter, they can hit balls out.
Yep.
Of how they built it. So that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
Too. All right. Council considered an easement agreement. This is for project 17-17, in case you wanted to know the number. This is for 2017 drainage issues.
Yeah.
What's this about?
Well, so we've had a few work sessions on drainage issues within different neighborhoods, and some of these are a little more challenging than others. This particular one seemed to be a little more straightforward on how this issue could be resolved. This is there are two homes within the Woodcrest neighborhood specifically that seem to gather most of the rain or most of the water runoff from all the yards that are upstream of it. And so basically this is the city has just asked for an easement within those properties so that they're able to create a catch point and then run a line out to the public storm sewer system, which will help drain those particular properties at a fairly reasonable price to the city. So we're really helping them out. These individuals have endured were damaged to their yards because they've got standing water in there most year round because of the issues of just having no drainage back there. Those are some of the original neighborhoods in Coon Rapids and not necessarily designed for that drainage. So
not fun to be those two homeowners, but it looks like a solution here.
Absolutely. Yep. Very positive.
All right. Council considered a joint powers agreement with Anoka County. This is for a culvert extension at Pleasure Creek. This is off Coon Rapids Boulevard.
It is. It is. It's off Coon Rapids Boulevard, north of the boulevard, between Springbrook Drive and Flintwood Street, and it's where we had a bridge, pedestrian bridge that went over the creek there. Last year, I guess fall sometime, it was determined that they had been doing some work out there, and they noticed that underneath seemed to be a little rusted out. So out of concern, they shut that down. Yeah. They did some more looking into it and thought, well, either we got to replace this, or we got to do something. So it was ultimately, we thought I thought that was what was going to happen, is that they had ultimately replaced the bridge. But what they came up with was a different idea, and that was to basically extend the culvert out away from the street a little bit further, and then grade over that, and they're just going to put a sidewalk in there. So kind of a win-win. Anoka County's helping us out with the project, so I think we're splitting that cost 50-50. So that's a good thing as well.
All right. So then that bridge will be removed, and like you said, a sidewalk then would go in its place.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right, because I imagine those sidewalks are important there on the busy boulevard.
Yes, it's nice to have our connections, and I'm sure it's been kind of a hassle not to have that connection. Yeah. I believe that there's some kind of a detour that they have going, but it'll be nice to have that continuation.
All right. That's all the items we had on our Tuesday, August 21st meeting. We want to move back now to our first meeting of the month, which again was on Wednesday, one night delayed, so council could participate in night tea at night. One of the first items we want to talk about there is a resolution accepting a donation from the Anoka County Grower Association. This is for the farmers market that's still going on down at the Coon Rapids Ice Center.
Absolutely. It was a $500 donation, and it was really for promoting special events. And they had a kids day event there, and I think the mayor had mentioned that now that we have the splash pad down there, it's pretty much kids kids day every Wednesday that the farmers market is down there. But they're going to have senior day on September 17th. They have 6 to 10 vendors there, and that runs on Wednesday again from 3 to 6.
Yeah, September 19th is the senior day.
Oh, September 19th. I'm sorry.
The Wednesday of that week. So
okay.
That's September 19th.
All right.
Senior day, like you said, they had Kids Day, and I believe they had like Health Day or Wellness Day was like their first one. So that donation certainly helps them do those events.
Absolutely.
And the farmers market continues on Wednesdays, like we said, from 3 to 6
right.
into early October, I believe. So.
Yep, into early October.
All right. Council considered and approved an easement agreement. This is for the Hanson Boulevard Railroad grade separation, which there's a lot of work going on down there.
A lot of work going on down there. This is something that Tim Himmer said will create some short-term and long-term benefit. It's really to help out. It's really to make a connection between 107th Avenue where it ends and 107th Avenue and Hummingbird. Tim had said underneath the kind of the swampy area there, just to make that connection so that that everybody in those neighborhoods will have continuous service for the extent of the construction that goes on in 2020 in the summer of 2020 or 2019. I'm sorry. Yep. Yeah, and also just make it more flexible in the future if they need to do other connections. So it's a good thing for the residents in that area, of course. Yeah. And one thing I should also mention, it came up in one of the comments from the mayor. He did ask about whether or not Hanson would remain open during the winter. Right. And we did get the word that yes, it will. It'll be open. 2 lanes, both directions will be open all winter long. So this maze of stuff that we're going through right now, it won't be that way, which is good. I mean, I can't imagine how they would plow streets with all of that stuff going on. So that's a good thing. And as Brad Johnson had asked, is it going to be paved. We are assured that it will be paved as well, so it won't be like Foley.
Foley Boulevard was. I know that was not a good ordeal for
Right,
those folks.
right.
Having to endure that.
Exactly.
But good to know that it will be open,
Good to
normal
know-
configuration
Absolutely.
for the winter. And again, this year they're doing a bulk of the utility and relocation, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
A lot of the construction elements will begin next year.
Next year, yep.
And they're going to shut that down. Again, the plan is for up to 5 months, correct?
That's my understanding. Yep.
That's the latest we've heard.
Yep. Yeah. This year we're able to get through. Next year we're not going to be able to get through.
So enjoy the 2 lanes in each direction in the winter is what it sounds like.
Exactly.
All right. Again, short-term pain for long-term gain, as they say, right?
Yes. Yes. It'll be nice. It definitely. I mean, we've pushed a long time to get that great separation. So.
Yeah, and when you're not sitting waiting for those trains.
Absolutely.
Someday.
Yeah, and you know, I've lived on both sides of the city now, and when I lived on the other side of the tracks, I don't notice it as much where I'm at now, but I did before. It seemed like anytime you were in a hurry,
Yep.
you know, that was when the train was coming,
Yep.
and a lot of times it would stop too, you know, and that's.
Yeah, and
did
then that one would just clear, and then another would come right by on the other set, right?
Right.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that being completed. Council approved an expenditure. This is an approval of a JAG grant expenditure. What does JAG stand for? This is a federal grant.
It's a federal grant.
Right. I'm the same thing.
Yeah.
I'll see if it's in the memo. You can tell us about it.
It may be in the memo, but right. So the expenditure was. I got some of the information here.
The Bryan Memorial Justice Assistant Grant.
Well, there you go. There you go. I'm
Yeah.
glad you had that. Well, initially the grant was to help us pay for the Milo system, which is a use of force simulation training system, and that was something that we voted on last year, and we okayed for this. It wasn't going to pay for all of the Milo system, but it was going to pay for a portion of that. Well, then something happened where the Department of Justice froze these funds, and so early in the year we had to come up with a different way to pay for the Milo system because we had already purchased it. So we used some drug forfeiture funds to pay for that. So then we did get word that we were getting this, and we decided that we were going to still use this, and we decided that we would buy a speed trailer. And we are also buying some face shields for active shooter training. So that's kind of in conjunction with the Milo system itself. And I'm going to try to get this word in. So I know Councilmember Griskoviak had asked about this in the meeting and wanted to find out exactly, get some clarification on why we weren't able to use those funds when we finally did get it to go back and pay for Milo. And as it was, this type of grant doesn't allow non-subplanting. And that is where you can't replace, federal funds can't replace local funds for funding of items. So this had to be something that wasn't on the budget or wasn't planned to be on the budget. So
So we couldn't really go back and reimburse ourselves for the other thing.
exactly, and we couldn't use those funds to pay for something that we already had in the budget to help out with that.
So at this point, you might as well do something else here with the grant money.
Absolutely, and then and the speed trailer is really a good thing because it probably is the single most complaint that I hear from residents is people driving too fast in the city, in their neighborhoods and stuff. So I think Chief Wise had kind of suggested that stuff like this, it gives you instant feedback. So it not only tells you whether you're speeding, but it also tells you whether you're not speeding. And oftentimes, when you're standing watching traffic in your neighborhood, it may seem like people are going faster than they really are. So,
and they're making the things more sophisticated. Blaine had one on 109th. I don't know if you've seen it, but
I've not.
I've driven by, and if you go too fast, there's a red and blue light that starts flashing at the top of the sign.
Okay.
Almost simulating like a police car.
Is it like, so is it just a sign, a regular?
Yeah.
So I think we have similar ones. They're on Foley now. They were up in, off of Avocet in the,
I've just never seen red and blue lights simulating
these,
police car.
And I'm not sure these are red and blue on our little signs, but they're definitely flashing lights when you're. Yeah.
But those red and blue lights are going to definitely get your attention.
Oh yeah.
So, kind of a smart idea.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
All right. Well, we'll see that out and about, I imagine, once we get that purchased.
Absolutely.
Council approved a construction management contract. This is for the Riverwind building remodel. A lot of activity going on down at Riverwind Park.
Absolutely, very exciting. And this building that we have, one of the original Orrin Thompson homes built in as a model home, built in the city. And of course, we have many Orrin Thompson homes in the city, so there's a historical value to it. And there were certainly people within the city and the historical commission that were really hoping that we would hang on to that. And I think Councilmember Wade Demmer said this could be described as a saga. I mean, it was really it went through a lot of different progressions. I think initially we were looking to remodel this. We were looking to spend about $380,000, and then all of a sudden we thought, well, maybe we should do this or do that, and it ballooned to between $600 and $800, and then people thought, well, we should just tear it down. But things, we persisted. The city staff continue to work through things, coming up with, really what we all felt like was a good solution. This is definitely a piece of property that has good space in it, and it's utilized by a church. It's utilized by Girl Scout troops. It's definitely a community facility, and I'm just happy that it's staying. I think there was Councilmember Griskoviak mentioned that didn't think that we'd be able to replace a building or meeting space of this size for this amount of money. So
right. So it looks like this is about $345,000 is the budget.
Yep.
For the stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
The roof will be done. That'll be storm damage, so insurance will pay for that. So there were just things that were like, we got to work this out. We got to figure out a way to get it to work.
And that sounded like it sealed the deal when they were able to get the claim on the roof with the hail damage.
Certainly
helped. Because that took care of that issue.
Absolutely.
And then the building, obviously, like you said, the meeting space was a place for restrooms.
Absolutely,
And from the sounds of it, about 70% of the building is being redone, and about 30% will remain.
Will just remain as is. Yep. And I think some of that's going to remain is currently just used for storage. So I'm sure that's what it'll continue to be used for as well.
All right, so that building will be remodeled right along with the park that is being redone this year.
Yes.
There's more work that's going to happen here in the fall with that.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, pickleball courts are coming.
Yeah.
I think there's 6 pickleball courts. Yeah, it should be really, really nice.
All right. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of the items we had to talk about on our council meetings. I want to remind folks about a couple events coming up here in September.
Yeah, September 15th, we have Movie in the Park. It's Paddington 2. That's at 7:30 p.m. At Sand Creek Park. Yep. And then September 22nd is the Coon Rapids Love My Pet Fair, and that's going to run from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and that'll be at Riverview Park.
Yep, Riverview. I was saying that before. I'm like, I always get Riverwind or Riverview.
Well,
which one?
and what I've been in Coon Rapids my whole life, and I still have to stop and think about that one. But I Riverview, because it's a little closer to the river, I think, Riverview. That's the.
It's a good way to remember.
Yeah, that's what
I'll have to keep that one in the back pocket. So yeah, if you can get out, the Movie in the Park. It's the second one of the year at Sand Creek Park, and again, the Coon Rapids Love My Pet Fair. They keep growing that each year with some new, different, innovative things. So I imagine they have some fun planned again this year.
Absolutely.
All right. That's all I have today, unless there's anything else you want to add.
That's all I have.
All right. Well, we appreciate you being here today, talking to us about the 2 meetings. Thank you at home for watching, and we'll see you back here again after our 2 meetings in September.